Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, John Cartwright, and today I'm joined by special guest BelleAim.
Hello.
Hey, Amy.
Oh, hello everyone. I jumped the gun. I'm so excited about this discussion.
Well, you and I have both been playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore, which is the Switch port of Tokyo Mirage Sessions for Wii U. And there's some new stuff, there's some old stuff, but I think the important thing is I've played the Wii U version and you haven't.
Correct.
So we've got two different perspectives. I'm a veteran, you're a newcomer. So I think this is going to be quite interesting to see exactly where we come from with this port.
Yeah.
I think also interestingly, Amy, you've played Persona 5 a lot as well, so...
I have. I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, I'm like halfway, I guess. I'm not sure since I've never played. But
that's still a long time to play the game. It's like a 50-hour long game, so that's still a huge amount of time. Maybe 70,
gosh.
Maybe 80. It's a long game.
No, I've been here already like 88 hours, and I'm only halfway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I read everything out loud for streams and stuff, so I guess that takes longer. But I think it took Derek like 123 hours to finish it.
Well, Tokyo Mirage Sessions isn't that long, but going off Persona 5, how do you feel about this game?
Well, it's kind of interesting because people were telling me at first, if you love Persona 5, you would love Tokyo Mirage Sessions. So I went into it kind of with a colored Persona 5 vibe, you know, going in like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And to be honest, at first, I was a little bit let down because I was expecting more of a Persona like grand story, just sucking you in. And it was so colorful and bright, and it seemed like such a light little story that I was like, is this what everyone was talking about? But by the end of chapter 1, I got completely hooked, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a different flavor than Persona, but I'm liking this for what it's doing. I actually love the bright colors. I love how it's less stressful. That's like the major difference between Persona 5 and Tokyo Mirage to me. Tokyo Mirage is so much more take your own time. You can do things in your own order. You can kind of go out of order in a little way. If you want to do a side quest, it won't really affect the main quest. You can leave a main quest and heal up and go right back in, and it doesn't take another day like it would in Persona 5. I don't know, I just feel a whole less sense of, oh my god, I gotta do this exactly in the right order with the most efficiency as possible. I can just take my time, and if I need to level up, I can level up, or if I need to go heal, I can top that off before taking on the boss. Like, you can really take it however you want, and that's really nice coming off of Persona 5.
Yeah, it's like a Persona Lite.
Yes.
Like there's no calendar, there's no schedule to do everything in a certain time.
Exactly.
All you basically do is just advance the story, go through dungeons, and just take it at your own pace, which is very nice. But there are still like Persona elements to it. I think Persona fans will probably still enjoy Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Oh yeah.
If you're waiting for Persona 5 to come to Switch, then this is probably a good game to just play in the meantime until it eventually does come to Switch.
I agree. I think this would be a great game to play before, hopefully, it comes to Switch. I would love that. It's like you said, it's like a Persona 5 Lite, and you get to meet all the characters. And one of the cool things about this is you don't have to pick and choose which characters you want to learn all about. You can actually get them all, because there is no time limit, there is no calendar. You can advance their stories and learn more about them and collect more outfits and costumes and special abilities. And it's like, one thing I really love about this game is how a sense of progression really feels tangible, because it feels like you're leveling up all the time, and it makes a difference. Like, you see it with different session lengths and with different costumes and abilities. And I feel like I'm always going to the Bloom Palace to unlock new Radiant skills and new Carnages, and I don't know, it's like got that carrot right in front of you, so you're just like, yeah, I'm getting there, I'm doing more, this is really rewarding very frequently.
For sure. I've always felt like this is one of my favourite Atlas RPGs for the combat system, because basically it works very similarly to most RPGs, where basically if you pull off an elemental skill, you get the enemy's weakness. But once you do that, you also start a session where if a character knows your skill, they'll jump in and start like a combo sequence going on. And it goes beyond that as well, because it also integrates the Fire Emblem weapon triangle, where they're kind of like elemental effects within themselves, so like swords and lances and bows.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. All of those sort of work like elemental attacks, so there's so much depth to every move you can do. And if you were to go for side quests or were to advance your characters, that will have a tangible effect on your sessions. So it's just such a rewarding combat system, and it works really well.
Yeah, I love it. I didn't know what to expect with it, and going in and seeing that, it's just, the combat system is almost like a performance in itself, which I know it's trying to be that way, but it really pulls it off. Like, the more combos you can get, the better it feels. and it's just so much fun to see all your friends come in to support you. And eventually, like, there's these cool blocking moves too where they can come in and help you out. It's just a lot of fun, and it feels really good. Like, it's just so fluid.
Yeah. We'll get back more into just the core game in itself in a moment, but I'm sure a lot of people are tuning into this to hear about what's new in the Encore version. And I've got to say, there's not a whole lot that is new. I think the biggest thing that you'll benefit from is the faster loading times. So in the Wii U version, if you enter a battle, there's a short loading screen every single time. Whereas the Switch version is just much faster. So that's the biggest thing, but this isn't like a Persona 4 Golden or Persona 5 Royal. I mean, there is new stuff, but it doesn't have a big effect on the story. In fact, it all takes place in just some portal, which has no impact on anything, so...
Yeah.
We can talk about the first EX chapter. And Amy, I'm not sure if your experience was similar to mine, but it was over so fast.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
So, like, the first EX room is basically just this floor with a bunch of treasure chests in, and they try and contextualize it with a small story, but it feels very unimportant.
Yeah, I think it was hard to slot in something with making it feel kind of important, but how can they top the story that they've already got going? So, yeah, I kind of know what you mean with that. However, I do think that it's really useful if you want to level up or get your skills up so you can get the next Carnage. That has been extremely helpful for me. Like, if you are someone who does not like to grind, then that extra thing that you're talking about, this portal, because I don't think that was in the original, that has been a godsend, because I do not like grinding, and that has been wonderful.
It was to an extent. The Wii U version had DLC which gave you this portal, but the EX chapters are brand new. So there is this training dungeon, which was technically in the Wii U version, but I never experienced it because I didn't pay for the DLC.
Okay.
But there's basically this room where you can level up maybe like 5 levels in 10 minutes. It's so fast.
Yeah, it's really quick, because you basically go into these rooms and you can farm these tomes or experience boosters, basically, and then you just kind of feed them to your characters, and then the next time they go into battle, they'll automatically level up, and you can do the same thing for skills. And I don't know, it was really helpful to me, because there was this one point where I had like 5 Carnages that I hadn't maxed out, so I just went into there, got a couple of those skill tomes, and there you go, they were good to go.
Yeah.
I unlocked all their abilities, so...
And I do remember having to grind a few times in the Wii U version, because of the nature of the game, you only really do combat in dungeons, so if you were to ignore these training dungeons, you would have to grind every now and then, because otherwise your level's just going to be below the actual bosses.
What I noticed is if you basically take on every single enemy you see in the main game, then you should be okay, but that feels really grindy because they pop up all the time.
Sure.
So if you're somebody who likes to slash them down, which by the way is another awesome thing, you can just hit them in the overworld and not even have to fight with them. That's really cool. So if you don't want to battle each one, then that extra training level is going to be really useful for you.
And back to the EX chapters a moment. So that's basically the big new thing about this version of the game. And in these dungeon areas, you'll find costumes, and quite importantly, you'll also find other characters to join your sessions. So there are characters like...
Oh, that wasn't in the original.
Exactly, yeah, like Tiki in Chapter 1 will join you in your sessions every now and then. That was never in the Wii U version.
Yeah, and she has been so helpful. There's been so many times where she's done that little bit left to finish off a foe. It's been great. So I think that's worth it right there. That's a really cool one.
Yeah, we can't specify the other characters that join you in your sessions, but I'm pretty sure if you watch a trailer, you'll see a few of them.
Yeah.
But basically, characters that weren't part of the main crew in the original Wii U version, they will join you in sessions now in the Switch version. So it's really cool to just sort of see this combat get further expanded.
Yeah.
By the end of the game, you'll be pulling off some huge session combos, like way bigger than you would do on Wii U.
Yeah, and it feels so good when you get those big sessions in. It's just so rewarding. I love it. And I love how easy it is to determine how big your session's going to be, because you can just leave your cursor basically on an enemy, and it shows you a little preview of who's going to jump in and join, and it'll even show you if they're like a bad person to join in, because they have this little column for risk factor. So it's really, really nice and forgiving for newcomers, for anybody who might be a little bit scared of a new system if they've never tried something like this. It's actually really beginner friendly, I feel like.
Absolutely. One also new thing about the sessions on the Switch version is you can turn off the animation now. So if you press Y, which is the quick session part, you can turn it off and just watch them go by, and that makes a lot of sense considering there's going to be way more people in your combo now, and you'll be seeing that combo like all the time, like from beginning of the game to the end of the game. You'll be seeing these people jumping in every single time. Yeah. So it's great to just speed up the combat.
Yeah, it's another one of those quality of life improvements, like where they respect your time, basically. So what I do normally is when I'm doing the more grindy stuff in the dungeon until getting to the boss, I have the quick thing on. But then for the boss, I like to be all showy, so I turn it off for that so I can see them all come in for the boss. It just makes it, I don't know, it feels really good that way. Like, yeah, this is the final push. We're all here. We're all in this.
But that's basically most of the new stuff in the Switch version. So load times are better. There's EX chapters, which are rather short, but they're still worth it if you're playing it for another time.
Yeah, they are worth it. Because the costumes and the additional members that can join into your sessions alone, like, that's really cool. Some of these costumes are amazing. I'll just leave it at that.
I do wish they took place in the core story. Like, Persona 4 Golden had this extra chapter which felt really integral to the story, even though it was never there originally. Whereas this just feels like it takes place, like, off everything else.
Oh, yeah, it does. It definitely does feel like a side thing.
But apart from that, I feel like this is a good port. You probably don't need the new stuff, but it's definitely a nice bonus. So yeah, it's not like an essential port, but it's still really fun. But let's get back to the core game though, because of course this is Amy's first time playing. How are you finding the story so far, and are you bothered by the fact that there's no English dub in this game?
At first it threw me off a little bit, just because I was coming off of Persona 5, which has incredible voice acting. So that did throw me off a little bit, but because of my love of languages, and specifically the Japanese language, it didn't bother me for that long. It was just a little odd at first, like, oh, okay, I have to read. Okay, got it. But it's just, the same as reading subs for an anime or something.
One thing I felt was kind of weird is that the combat dialogue isn't subtitled at all. So there's points where like a character will enter a battle and they'll say something and you have no idea what they're saying.
Exactly, yeah. I know a couple of the things that they're saying and they're not super important. But yeah, I know what you mean, because some things are not subbed, so you're like, what are they yelling at me? Is it useful? I don't know. Because when you're in the dungeon area, I know for a fact that all I hear constantly is like, Yutsuki! Yutsuki! Because Crom is constantly trying to tell you things about the enemies. And I'm like, what is he saying other than my name? Is he saying they're coming? Is he saying there's a rare one? Because that would be pretty cool if he actually said vocally, like, ooh, there's a rare one, go after that, or there's a difficult one, because they have different level enemies out there. So yeah, that part is a little bit of a bummer, because I was really hoping to know what they're saying.
Yeah, same. I was hoping that maybe they would dub the Switch version, but the biggest barrier though is probably the songs, because I can't imagine they'll translate very well to English.
Yeah, I guess they decided that having an English voice acting cast and then Japanese songs would be a little bit weird, I guess, so they didn't want to put forth the effort to dub the whole thing, because that would be a lot of vocals to do. It would take more time and more resources, so. But it would have been cool. Like, it definitely would have got you into it more, because then you wouldn't have to read and you could just hear things. You could hear all the little nuances that they're saying within the battle and even in the overworld area. But it's not enough to off-put it either, you know?
Sure, it's not essential. I never felt like I was missing out on the story, but it was a bit off-putting just to hear this dialogue and not know what they're saying.
Yeah.
You're also not like a giant Fire Emblem fan either, and this is a Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem crossover, so how are you enjoying those aspects?
Well, it's not that I'm not a fan, I just haven't played any. I actually do want to play them. Three Houses is next on my list, I believe. So I just don't have any comparison, because I've never played Shin Megami Tensei or Fire Emblem, so I can't really compare them. But based on how much I'm really loving Persona 5 and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I think that I will actually like those two genres.
I'd say so, yeah. But having played neither of those, though, does that impact your enjoyment at all on Tokyo Mirage Sessions? Or are you still enjoying this, what's technically a crossover of these franchises?
No, I don't think not playing them has affected at all, because I'm really loving this game. I think it's a lot of fun. It's really colorful. It's bright. It's kind of... in John's words, it's a very cozy game. It just makes me feel so happy, and it's always something that cheers me up. Like if I'm having a little bit of a downer day, I just put that on and I play it, and I always feel a little bit better. It's one of those types of games.
I've played both Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem, and I've got to say that Tokyo Mirage Sessions doesn't really feel like either of them.
Oh, really?
Like they took the ideas of both franchises, but made something entirely new with them. And it's quite accessible because of that. Like, I don't think you need to know anything about either of them. Like, there are Fire Emblem characters like Chrom and like
Sheeta,
and
yeah,
and like
I think all
Thalia,
of the Carnages are Fire Emblem people, because Derek was playing a little bit with me, and every time I would get a new Carnage, he would comment like, oh, this is from this Fire Emblem, and this is this character, and look at the way they've represented this. So I think if you do know a lot about Fire Emblem, you will get that cool bonus of seeing how they've represented those characters in the game. So there's that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but like the characters themselves have lost their memories, so it's almost like they're playing along with you if you don't know what they're from.
Exactly.
And it does kind of culminate for, like the more you go on. But otherwise, I feel like this is just a really accessible game for anyone. It doesn't matter if you have played these games or not.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's any gates, holding back people. If you don't know these things, you're not really missing out on anything. It's more like if you do know them, then you get a bonus. But it's not essential at all to your enjoyment.
Yeah. One thing compared to Persona, I feel like the world is less important in Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Like, in Persona, you can do so many things, whereas in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, you're either doing side quests or advancing the story, and there's not much else you can really do in this world.
Yeah, not really. You can't do any burger challenges or anything of that nature. No batting cages, really. It's kind of cool though, coming directly from Persona 5, because in the main, so when you go to Shibuya, it was really cool to walk around there and be like, oh look, this is where Yoshida did his speeches, and look, here's the same station. And I know it's because it's based on a real location, but still, it was really cool to match up some of the locations. But you're right, that the overworld itself, it doesn't feel as real or interactive as Persona 5, and the overall story doesn't feel quite as epic or gripping either, because the overall story doesn't really make you want to keep going for the story's sake. You want to know more, but in Persona you really want to know what's going on, whereas in Tokyo Mirage it's like, this is odd, but we're having a great time going to photo shoots and learning how to dance and battling monsters. So
yeah, there aren't as many characters. The core cast is more or less the entire cast. Whereas in Persona you got so many supporting characters. It feels smaller in that sense, but yeah, not necessarily in a bad way though.
No, not in a bad way. Actually, it could make it someone who's new to the whole series a little bit less overwhelmed, because there's not as huge of a cast. There's not so many people to keep track of. There's not this fear of, oh my gosh, I didn't meet this person, or I haven't seen this thing yet. It's a bite size compared to Persona 5, so you can feel like you get to experience it all pretty evenly. Whereas in Persona, you can very easily ignore people, like a certain reporter, for example.
Sure, yeah. When I played it on Wii U, Persona 5 hadn't launched yet, and I actually really enjoyed Tokyo Mirage Sessions as this I guess stopgap between Persona 4 and Persona 5. And Persona 4 had these very simple dungeons, whereas Persona 5 stepped that up a bunch. Like, Persona 5's dungeons are really integral. And I feel like Tokyo Mirage Sessions is kind of like a little, I guess it's very in between Persona 4 and Persona 5, where the dungeons are clever, but sometimes they can be a bit irritating, if you know what I mean. Like, there's the first one where you're going through these torsos of those
the mannequins.
Mannequins, yeah.
Yeah, that first one, that is my least favorite by far. I don't know what it was. It took me, that's when I was in my annoyance phase of the game, what is this? But as soon as I was done with that, I didn't experience any other dungeons that really annoyed me quite like that one. There's definitely some really great ones, and then that first one, not the best. There's this cutscene that plays every time you have to change the position of the mannequin so you can get to different floors, and it just, something about that just grinds on your nerves. Okay, we get it. let me just go up the floor.
Absolutely. I wish we could talk later in the game, because honestly the dungeons get better the more you go on.
I know, I was going to ask, how many can we talk about? Because there's a later one that's really cool.
Yeah, there absolutely is.
But I don't know if we can talk about that one right now.
I mean, it's been on Wii U, so check out the dungeons if you want to from the Wii U version.
Exactly.
But otherwise, yeah, they do get better as they go on, and there's some really clever ones.
Yeah.
And before Persona 5 came out, I felt like these were some of the best dungeons Atlus had done. But in a post-Persona 5 world, I guess that kind of changes the context of how much I enjoy this game. Because it's still really good, but I think Persona 5 just sets such a high bar that this doesn't quite clear it, but it's still a really fun game though.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. To me, they kind of started out, I put them in the same category at first, which made Tokyo Mirage seem like a little bit of a lesser game. But once I looked at them individually for what they were doing, I feel like they're both really great at what they are presenting. So I don't really compare them anymore as far as my enjoyment goes, because Persona 5 is like this game that makes you feel like you're a total badass. Like you're just this cool person that can take on so much. And then Tokyo Mirage just makes you feel warm and happy and fuzzy and like a very fluid battle system. So you really get into it. And the tougher enemies, when you actually defeat them, it's really rewarding. It's the same in Persona 2, but I don't know, something about it to me, maybe because it's my first time playing. I really love both games, honestly, but for different reasons. They have different flavors. It's like a sherbet versus a molten lava cake.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, one thing that was in the Wii U version was when those text messages come in, they would come in on the gamepad rather than from a menu. So it was kind of cool to like treat the gamepad like a mobile phone.
It's a big mobile phone.
a huge mobile phone, yeah. I don't like exactly miss it, but it was a nice little gimmick.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is I feel like the text messages like give you a real sense of the character's character, like their personality.
Yes.
Because they express themselves so well with their emojis and whatnot.
Yeah, they have unique emojis. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I almost feel like they express themselves better in the texts than they do like in their actual character. Like Tsubasa has quite a great character, but a lot of them I guess are kind of run of the mill. But in their messages though, they really express their personality.
I always felt like it came across kind of they were shy in person, but then in text they could kind of let loose a little bit more. So, but yeah, I see what you mean. I feel like in the cutscenes they have more personality. But yeah, definitely the texts are where those little nuances come in and you really get to know them better. That is another thing that's very similar between Persona and Tokyo. They both have so many texts.
Yeah, they do. With the side quests as well, I feel like a lot of the side quests feel really good. Like they feel like they could be part of the core story. And if you are playing the Switch version and you want to play the new content, you do have to do some side quests. Like the EX chapters will not be available until you've done specific side quests. So
that's correct.
There's a lot of game time for you.
Yeah, I like that. I actually really enjoy the side quests because that's another thing that really fleshes out these characters and you learn more about them. And not only that, but when you do these extra side quests, you get more abilities with that character that really make a difference in battle. And I love that payoff. It's really worth it.
At first, like some of the side quests don't have like any involvement. Like sometimes you just like I think the very first few side quests, you literally just watch some dialogue boxes and then you're done. Whereas later on, you get a bit more involved. Sometimes you get entirely like brand new bosses in these side quests. Whereas other times they're a bit simple. Like sometimes it's like go back to this dungeon and kill like 10 of these enemies, and that's not always so fun. But
yeah, it's not, but it has actually been a little bit helpful in my case because there was another side quest that I had not completed where I had to collect 3 of a certain item that's a common drop from an enemy. So when I went back into that dungeon to get 10 of these things for one person, I at the same time collected 3 of these other common drops. So it kind of blended in for me, so it didn't really bother me too much. And I just like the side quests in themselves just for the even seeing those videos and reading more about them. I like that sort of thing, so that part didn't bother me.
And that's a good point. When you finish a lot of these side quests, you get like a song that you'll never hear otherwise. It culminates in like a really rewarding way. You'll hear like a brand new rendition of a song or a brand new song.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say music is the core focus of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but it's a great way to just end a chapter or a side quest.
Yeah, it's a really cool payoff. It's a really good ending. It's like, all right, that was cool. That was worth it. I enjoyed that. It's like it's a cozy feeling. This is a cozy game.
It's a very cozy feeling.
I love it.
Yeah, I remember being quite surprised because I'm not a fan of like Japanese idols, and I'm not a fan of a lot of what Tokyo Mirage Sessions has, but I still enjoy the core concepts. I enjoy the dungeons. I enjoy the story, the characters. It's just as you say, it's a cozy game.
It is. It really is, and I really enjoy the Japanese culture, and I don't know a whole lot about idols or anything like that, but I feel like I've learned a little bit more now through playing. I know it's not going to be like a documentary style knowledge, but it's still like a little intro that made me more curious. And I actually did Google a little bit about them because sometimes the outfits they wear, I'm like, really? Is that what they would wear?
Yeah, I mean, Now I know that Japanese idols are all superheroes or something.
Exactly, they are. And their characters are so great. And some of the lessons that they touch on are just, they're actually useful in real life. And I love that about it.
For sure. Alright, I think that's a lot of what the game represents that we've touched on now. Like the new stuff, the recurring stuff. So Amy, what's just your overall thoughts on this game, having played it for, 25 hours now or something?
I haven't kept track. I think you've seen my hours more than I have.
I've peeked, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. It's one of those games that I actually want to keep playing over and over. It's, like I said, it's that cozy feeling. It makes me happy. At first, I really wasn't sure. So for anyone else who's new to the series, I would really recommend at least completing the first chapter and first intermission before saying whether you like it or not. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but really give it a good chance. Let it do its own thing, and if you really like that, then I think that you're going to enjoy what's to come later on, because I feel like it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And the more that you learn about these characters, the more invested you get in them, and you want to know more about them and see what other costumes they have. I'm really loving the costumes. That's a huge thing that I'm enjoying right now, just dressing them all up. Because every time you change their costume, by the way, you get this fun little intro scene, and you get to see them enter the battle with their new costume on. And I don't know, it's really fun. It's really cool.
Yeah, the Switch port's not going to give you a brand new game, but there's still some cool bonus stuff, and if you've not played it before, then this is without a doubt the definitive version, so go for it.
Yes.
And if you want a Persona 5 type RPG on the Switch, this isn't quite Persona 5, but it's close enough to give you to scratch the itch that you might be feeling for that game. So yeah. But until then, keep it tuned to Game Explain for a lot more on Tokyo Mirage Sessions, #FE Encore, and other things gaming too. You can also find BelleAim on her channel at YouTube, which is youtube.com/BelleAim. Anything else you want to plug there, Amy?
I'm also on Twitch. I'm streaming Persona 5 right now if you want to see a blind run of that. So Twitch, BelleAim as well. But other than that, yep. Stay tuned to Game Explain for more coverage.
Alright, until next time, bye everyone.
Bye.